How we got 2 of our evil neighbors evicted. Buckle up, this is a rather long story. We, wife and I, live in a townhouse complex. For anyone outside of my country, it's like a row of houses in a gated community. Our complex has 3 rows with 6 houses and 1 row with 5. Need room for that community pool. The 2 evil neighbors in question lived across from us. The one right across from us, unit 10, and the one to their right, unit 11. Not real numbers for obvious reasons. What you need to know is the driveway separating each of the rows. It's wide enough to fit 2 cars okay-ish. If both cars traveling slowly, they can pass each other with ease. When they first moved in, we got along okay with them. I even played games with their kids, 3 each per unit, when walking past to my house from the car park. I thought they were good families, as when the kids did something like kick balls at our wall and not stop, I would tell the parents and the kids got punished. I explained this cause in just one day they went from a nice family to assaulting my wife. We came home from an event, I think the movies, one night. Another neighbor of ours made it to the driveway before us, so he was first. The people in number 10, whom I will now refer to as Psycho Beach and a whole husband, had their family van parked out front of their house, across from my house. Kids were getting in and out of the van, while PB was keeping an eye on things. Our other neighbor, who lives on our side of the complex right next to us, moved his car slowly past PB in the van first. We will call him NN for nice neighbor for now. When NN slowly moved past the van, there was no problem at all. My wife was right behind NN and did the exact same thing. Slowly moved her car past in full view of PB. The strange thing is that nothing happened. My wife made it past without even a glare. I got out and opened the garage door for her to park the car. We reversed the car into our garage, and I was about to shut the rolling door when PB comes screaming over and yelling, accusing us of trying to run over her kids. She barged into our garage right past me and banged on the driver's side window to the point my wife had to roll the window down, or PB would have broken it. She started pointing a finger and yelling about how dare my wife try and run over her kids. I want to point out that from the time my wife passed the van till the time PB came raging over was 2 minutes. Why didn't she blame NN? And why didn't she say anything as my wife moved the car past the van? It's like the worst delayed reaction in history, and to this day we still don't know the real reason they had it out for my wife and I. If the real reason was running over the kids, PB would have been in NN's face, or in my wife's face while she moved the car past the van. My wife felt cornered and scared, and I was about to drag PB out of our gaggle when our a-hole husband came storming over and threatened me to not touch his wife. So I had to leave my wife conned and defenseless as to hold off her in the driveway. After a few minutes of screaming at my wife, PB went too far. She slapped my wife hard across the face and her sharp nails left multiple scratch marks and bleeding. That was the last straw for me as my adrenaline kicked in. I'm not a violent guy. I like to think I'm normally smart by having a policy of the best defenses to not get into a fight in the first place. I stormed over to PB, but I grabbed my shoulder from behind and demanded to know where I was going. I turned round and gutted her in the stomach with a right hook, then ignored him as he went down. I grabbed PB from behind as she was still wailing on my wife and threw her to the ground outside of our garage. I told them to rack off, polite way I said it, and leave us alone. We went inside and called the police to file a report. The police took notes and photos. I even said I punched her in defense of my wife. I got nothing to hide. The police didn't do much apart from take notes, and that was it. The Jekyll and Hyde 180 they pulled on us from nice neighbors to assaulting my wife really took us by surprise. In the weeks and months that followed, we got insults, glaring, and threats from units 10 and 11 as 11 joined their friends in condemning us. Most others in the complex took our side as they either saw or heard what happened. One thing was clear, units 10 and 11 had to go. We own our house and we ain't up and leaving our lives cause PB wants to start drama with us. First I called Body Corp. They manage the complex, kind of like a commercial hoa, but not a hoa, is not run by residents of the complex but a company, and filed a report about both 10 and 11 showcasing all our documented proof of the harassment and threats towards us. Next I talked to their landlord who owned 10 and 11, and about 5 other houses in the complex as he is a good friend. He seemed concerned, but not enough to kick them out. Guess he really wants rent payments. so I decided to get rid of them myself. First I found their Wi-Fi network, and before I shut them out of it, I got their email address, then locked them out of their own internet connection. I had their phone number from when we were good neighbors, and got myself a burner phone. I signed them up for every spam email I could find, ordered tequila to be paid for on delivery every night of the week. I made sure their mailbox was stuffed with advertising. I even had men knocking on the door for promised fun only to leave angry, and had R&PB at each other's throats. I made sure their phone was ringing at all hours of the night. They even threw the phone out the window. As a final favor, I had a friend who runs a dog washing business come around pretending they booked her. When they explained they had no dogs and told her to duck off, she finally understood what we've been dealing with. They kept berating her to leave, throwing in racial slurs. Bad idea. She took out the hose meant to wash the dogs and sprayed PB and R and inside the house all over their carpet. I think they finally got the hint and moved out only a month later. Number 11 followed them a few weeks after. The entire complex had a huge pool party and celebration. But I wasn't going to let them off that easy. That psycho wailed on my wife for no good reason. Prepare to lose it all. From when we're on good terms with PB and R, I knew they were on temp visas. While trying to apply for permanent residency, I made sure to mention to immigration where they had moved to, thanks friends in the rental market, and handed over the police report of them assaulting us in our own home for no good reason. Seems PB didn't make her own police report, so ours was the be all and end all, and was enough to get them kicked out of the country. I know the country they come from. It's hard to get work, while a lot of people from that country move here. I feel zero remorse booting them out. Zero. Zip. Nada. I'm a college student and I desperately needed to find a sublease for this past spring and summer. So I ended up finding one at a pretty nice apartment complex in my city. The guy, we will call him Bob, seemed cool. We had a mutual friend. Everything went great. However, Bob wants to do the sublease under the table, without the office getting involved. Okay, no worries. I've done this before. It's a 44 with 3 other male roommates. This is important for later. I have a 2-year hound mix. She's a great dog, but she gets terrible anxiety during thunderstorms. One day, I'm at work and we have probably the biggest thunderstorm we've had this year. She flips out and tears up the edges of the carpet to my room. My dad has a guy who came and did an estimate of the damages. Told me it would cost between $200-$400 to recarpet the room. Cool, no problem. I can afford that. Bob sees the damages and I tell him he'll cover all the damages caused by her. Anyways, I move out in July. A month passes. I'm on vacation with my family, and this motherfucker Bob decides to call my dad and mom repeatedly. Then his mom calls them. I have no idea how they even got my parents' numbers. They tell my parents that the apartment complex is charging them $4,000 to carpet a 10x10 room. That I have until the end of September to pay it, or they will take me to court. My dad is pissed because he knows the damages shouldn't cost that much. He contacts the leasing offices and asks them for a breakdown of the damages. I don't know, but he managed to get them to tell him the carpet damage in my room only cost $273. All the other charges were for damages the original tenant and his roommates did. So we contact Bob and I saying that the other 3 roommates were supporting his claim that my dog had caused all the damages in the house. Firstly, can someone please explain to me how it's my dog's fault that they caused a bottle of wine to explode on the ceiling of the kitchen? Or how she managed to destroy the dishwasher? Or one of the guy's bathtubs? My mom calls her lawyer. My parents, the lawyer and me have a little POW. Wow. I never signed any document making me an official resident of the apartment. Therefore, I wasn't liable for any damages whatsoever. However, because I'm not an a-hole, I was still willing to pay for the carpet damage. We contact Bob, and he refuses the offer of payment. His mom says that she wants me to pay for everything. But no, I'm not going to, because I'm petty though. I contacted the leasing office. I gave them all the documentation, agreement for me to live there, payment history to him, all of it, of me living there. And now, the office is not only charging Bob and the other roommates the $4,000, they are suing for a breach of contract because he had an illegal tenant. Should have just taken the $273. Dude. Thank you for watching. Slap that like button and comment your opinion on these stories below. I'm waiting. Write that comment. Seriously. Have you written it yet? If you don't comment, you make a bunny cry somewhere. You're not that kind of person, I know. Anyways, peace out, and catch you tomorrow.